Our top story in this segment, Volodymyr Zelensky has appraised Ukrainian troops for advances claimed near the devastated city of Bakhmut. On the other hand, Russia says it has repelled a large-scale attack.
Yes, so claims and counterclaims coming there. The contrasting claims come at a time as Pope Francis's peace envoy arrived in Kyiv for 2 days of talks. Speaking on the battle for Bakhmut, Zelensky said, and I quote, "I am grateful to each of our warriors, to all our defenders who gave us the news we expect." Remember, in May, Russia said that it seized the now destroyed eastern city, the scene of the longest and one of the bloodiest battles of the war.
We see how hysterically Russia perceives every step we take there, every position we take. The enemy knows that Ukraine will win. They see it. They feel it thanks to your strikes, soldiers, and in particular in Donetsk region. Thank you for that.
The boss of Russian mercenary group Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, also said that Ukraine's troops had made gains near Bakhmut. Russian troops, he said, were slowly leaving the village of Barkhivka near Bakhmut, which he said was a disgrace.
In the southern region of Zaporizhzhia, a Moscow-installed official said that Ukrainian troops were on the offensive. The region is home to Europe's largest nuclear plant and has been partly under Russian control since the start of Moscow's offensive. The official said, and I quote, "It looks like the die has been cast and the next months will clear up a lot." He added that the fight will be serious because there is a lot at stake.
Now for more on this, we're joined by Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis. He has 21 years of service, including 4 combat deployments. He is a military expert and senior fellow for defense priorities. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, sir, claims and counterclaims. Ukraine claims it has made significant advances near Bakhmut. Russia, on the other hand, claims to have repelled this attack. As per reports, Ukraine has been gearing up, and we've been hearing about this for quite some time now, major counter-offensive. At this point, how equipped do you think Ukraine is to thwart Russian forces?
Well, you know, what we have to understand is that in addition to the actual combat of the battle on the ground, there's also an information war, and both sides are just really fighting it tooth and nail on that front as well. And basically, they're going to say whatever they want to be true, and it's up to us to try to just observe what actually happened. So you have all these claims of both sides basically saying that they were successful today. And what we really have to do is just see what's actually happening on the ground. And thus far, what we can tell when you piece together information from multiple sources is that Ukraine has indeed stepped up some of their attacks in a number of different areas. They have made some progress in some areas, and they've been pushed back in other areas. So up to this point, it's really just kind of the opening rounds, and you really can't make any any kind of consequences one way or the other or how this is going to go. But it does appear that these are the opening rounds of the offensive that we've been waiting for.
So let's also talk about this parallel war that is now going on. There is an let's say a pro-Kyiv and an anti-Putin militia that has claimed control of a town in Belgorod region inside Russia. Is this sort of a parallel war which is waged by, let's say, Ukrainian intelligence to punish Russia within Russia? How do you see that panning out? And the other question is, can there be peace? How long before these two parties come to the negotiating table, if at all?
Yeah, to answer your first question, definitely there has been some activity in the south. It's actually just across the border in the Belgorod region. And there's no doubt that Ukraine is using whatever resources they can. If they have found some disaffected Russian citizens, they're arming them with some of the equipment that the United States and the West has given to the Ukrainian side. We saw it in the attack on Belgorod last week, or in that direction, I think like 10 kilometers into the country. Ukraine wants to try to open another front to try to cause Russia to divert some of their resources and some of their reserves to try to prevent an excursion into Russia proper. And the Russian side is trying to use as minimal force as they can so that they don't take away from their primary lines of defense inside of Ukraine. And it's really going to see who's going to be blinking first and how far they can go. But thus far, it's just a handful of kilometers, so it doesn't actually represent a real threat to Moscow. It's very embarrassing, and it's making a lot of people unhappy on the Russian side. But thus far, it's not a real military threat. In terms of your second question there, unfortunately, I don't see any possibility that there's even going to be a legitimate talk about peace until after this offensive has played out one way or the other. If Ukraine has some success, then that might put them in a slightly better position to try to engage in negotiations. But if it doesn't go well, it could put them in a worse position. And then Moscow could be feeling like it doesn't want to talk because it wants to try to win on the battlefield. And at this point, both sides actually think they can win something to their advantage on the battlefield. So until that plays out, nobody's even willing to talk about negotiated settlements, unfortunately.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Davis, always a pleasure to have you on the program with your perspective. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.